My child, pause and listen to the trembling rhythm of your soul. This moment is not a coincidence. It is not by chance that your eyes fall upon these words. It is I, the one who created the heavens and the earth, who has appointed this very moment as the beginning of an entirely new chapter in your life. Among the vast ocean of flowing time, this precise moment is the turning point of your destiny. I have watched your every step every time you stumbled, every time you struggled to rise amidst hardship, and today, I have not come to recount your past, but to open the door to your future. Before your first cry echoed into the world, I knew your name. While you were still a tiny cell within your mother's womb, I cradled you in my thoughts. You are not anonymous in the current of history. On the contrary, you are an irreplaceable part of the grand design of my kingdom. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands, Isaiah 49:16, and never for a single moment have I ceased to watch over you. Everything you have gone through, joy and sorrow, success and failure, has not been meaningless. It was the foundation laid for this very day. For now, I am calling you to step out from the limitations that have bound you for too long. You have felt small and lost in this vast world. Haven't you? You've wondered why your prayers seemed unanswered, and why others seemed to move faster, to be more blessed. You may even have thought, maybe I wasn't chosen. But today, I have come to tear down that lie from your mind. You were not passed over. You were preserved for something greater. There are treasures that cannot be handed out in haste. There are blessings that require time to reach fullness. And now, that time has come. You have endured long enough. Now it is time to enter in. I did not choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because even in your flaws and wounds, I saw a heart willing to believe. You may have been weak, made the mistakes, even wanted to give up, but it is precisely those moments that prove your soul is fertile ground for my seed to take root. Faith does not flourish in the proud, it grows in broken souls who long for the sacred. I did not choose you because you stood out by the world's standards. I chose you because you can hear the quiet whisper of heaven, even in the darkest night of your life. And so, you are the one being named today. You need no further sign. The very existence of this message in your hands is the evidence that heaven is whispering to your soul. When I speak, I need no thunder or earthquake. Sometimes, I speak through words that rise in your heart like light breaking through the dark. If you feel something stirring deep within, if tears fall quietly and you do not know why, then that is a clear sign. You have touched the border between the earthly and the divine. And at that border, I am inviting you to cross over. I have not come merely to comfort you, but to summon you. This is the moment to cast aside the small thoughts that have kept you shackled in fear. This is the time to let go of the old definitions you've carried about yourself, that you are merely someone trying to survive. No, my beloved, you were born to shine. You were born to enter the impossible and make it reality. The silent tears you've shed in the loneliest nights have watered the foundations of the glory that is about to be revealed in your life. But to embark on this new journey, you must change your perspective. Instead of asking, "Am I worthy?" ask, "Do I dare to believe?" Instead of comparing yourself to others, lift your head and ask, "Lord, where do I begin?" Because it is in that place of total surrender that miracles begin to form, not by your ability, but by the willingness of your heart. When a person chooses to believe in something greater than themselves, All of heaven begins to move to make way. You may feel afraid. That is normal. But do not let fear dictate your destiny. Let faith lead. Just as Abraham obeyed the call and stepped out into the unknown, Hebrews 11:8. Today, you are called to do the same, not because you know every detail, but because you trust the one who knows all. And yes, I will walk with you. So take a deep breath and receive this truth. You have been appointed. You have been called out from the crowd. And now you stand at the threshold of a journey few are invited to take. If you move forward, the world will not remain the same. If you obey, your life will shine like a star in the sky of faith. And when all is said and done, you will look back and say, "That was the moment my life changed forever." My child, I know there is something within you that wrestles. Perhaps it is fear, or the memory of past failures, or the weariness of waiting for a miracle that never seemed to come. I see every scar on your heart. Every time you clenched your teeth to endure, when what you longed for seemed just out of reach again. But today, I've come to reveal a truth you must grasp deeply. The greatest obstacles in your life are not your circumstances, nor other people, but the limits set by your own thinking. You've grown used to living within the safe boundaries of what can be measured and explained. You've feared to dream big, afraid of disappointment. You've hesitated to step far, afraid of loss. You've confined yourself with questions like, what if things don't go as I hoped? What if I fail? Or even, what if I'm not enough? And while you keep questioning, I stand at the door of your heart, waiting for you to let me in. Because, my child, only when you believe that I am greater than your fears will divine movement begin. You are not the first to be tested between faith and fear. Since the beginning, there have been souls like yours who dared to believe in what they could not see amidst a chaotic world. They were not flawless heroes. They were people who trembled, who doubted, but who still chose to move forward. Joshua, faced with the towering walls of Jericho, did not bring them down with swords, but with a shout and obedience. Joshua 6. It may sound unreasonable, but it proved that when I command, even the laws of physics yield. And today, the invisible walls in your heart can fall too. If you are willing to heed my call, you have been trapped in old ideas about yourself. I'm not as good as others. I don't have the chance. My family is poor. I've missed too many opportunities. But my child, if you truly knew you were crafted by the Almighty, you would never belittle yourself again. I did not create you to live in resignation. I did not form you to walk behind. You bear my unique imprint, a soul endowed with the power to transform, not through your strength, but through my power in you. Therefore, I have not come today to soothe you with soft words. I have come to shake you, to awaken you, and if needed, to overturn the very foundations of old thinking in your mind. As long as you believe you cannot, you imprison yourself in a cell of your own making. But if you dare to shift your belief, if you dare to declare, I can, because the one in me is greater than all that comes against me, then in that very moment, you are rewriting your destiny. Do not let past experiences cloud the hope of the present. You may have failed, lost, been betrayed, but none of those things define you. They are not your truth. They are merely chapters that prepared you to receive something greater. Look back at your life. How many times did you think you couldn't make it? Yet here you are. How many times did it feel like everything collapsed? Yet the dawn still came. That was not luck. That was me, working in silence to keep you for a time such as this. And here is the truth you must engrave upon your heart. True transformation does not begin outwardly, it begins within. Not when you have more money will you feel confident. Not when you have a big house or a beautiful car will you feel worthy. But when you change how you see yourself, everything else around you will begin to shift. You shape the world you live in through faith or through fear. If you believe good things are coming, you will find the path to them. But if you believe you will fail, you will build your own barriers. Today, I am breaking those barriers. I am relaying the foundation of your thoughts to build a new life, not one governed by circumstance, but one led by faith. You have walked long enough in uncertainty. Now it is time to walk in conviction. Do not live just to survive. Live to be transformed. For you were not born only to witness miracles, but to be a living sign of what heaven can do through a soul that dares to believe. You may be thinking, I've heard these words before. Why would this time be different? I will tell you why. Because today is the day I marked on your life. Not yesterday, not next week, but today. Every second now is echoing one truth. Heaven is moving because of you. These words you're reading are not just letters. They are the resonance of my heart, reaching into your soul, calling you out of old ground, into the promised land I've set apart. This is not land others can lead you to. This is land that only opens when you dare to step, not because you have a map, but because you have faith. Not because you know everything, but because you know the one who goes before you never fails. And when you agree to walk forward, all of heaven will walk with you. My child, if at this very moment you are still listening, then I know there is a quiet rising within your soul, something that transcends logic, surpasses hesitation, and silences even the whispers of fear. It is the sacred call, and when that call resounds, no one can ignore its presence. You are standing at the threshold of an entirely new chapter, and at the intersection between old and new, between doubt and faith, between resignation and beginning, it is there, right there, that your choice will determine everything. You may choose to stay still, to cling to familiarity, and allow divine opportunities to drift away forever. Or you may rise, shake off the ashes of the past, and step into the unknown. No one else can make that choice for you. Not even I, the one who created the heavens and the earth, will override your will. But I offer you something greater than advice, an invitation. An invitation to step out of delay and into the rhythm of divine timing. You have postponed long enough. You have said, not today, maybe tomorrow. You have left your faith in limbo, like a garment hung and never worn. But today, I want you to know this. If you continue waiting for perfect conditions, you will never begin. There is no moment more right than this one. As heaven throws open its doors, the difference between those who witness miracles and those who only hear of them lies in the courage to move in the appointed moment. Do not think you must perfect everything before you act. No one is ever called because they are ready. It is when they respond to the call that the preparation follows. Moses was not eloquent, yet he led my people through the Red Sea, Exodus 14. David was only a shepherd boy, yet he brought down the giant Goliath, 1 Samuel 17. These were not people who had everything in hand, but they held one thing in their hearts: faith in my word. And that was all they needed. I know you have fears: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being forgotten. But, my child, if you let fear lead, your life will remain trapped in cycles that repeat. There will be no breakthrough, no turning point, no dreams birthed into reality. Faith is not the absence of fear, it is action in spite of it. When you move, not because you're sure it will succeed, but because you trust the one who goes with you, that is faith alive. Delay is destiny's most dangerous enemy. It does not roar like a lion, nor rage like a storm, but it quietly drains passion, saps courage, and lulls the soul into paralysis. And when the soul sleeps, the dream is forgotten. But today, I have come to awaken you. I have come to breathe into your heart a fresh wind, the breath of life, urgency, and awakening. You cannot let this opportunity pass like a breeze brushing by. For divine opportunities do not follow cycles. They follow my word. If today you still believe these words are not meant for you, then I ask, who told you that? It was not I. For I have said, you are mine. I have called you by name. You are the one I love. Isaiah 43:1. So why do you doubt? Why do you listen more to the voice of discouragement than to my promises? Every time you question your worth, you underestimate the power of the one who made you. Do not let narrow thinking obscure the vast plan I have written for your life. My beloved child, when I look at you, I do not see the failures of your past. I do not keep a record of your moments of weakness. I see untapped potential. I see a warrior hidden beneath the garments of the ordinary. I see a trailblazer waiting to be unleashed. Do not let your beautiful dreams gather dust because you fear cleansing your heart. Let me wash you in truth, in love, in unwavering hope. If today you take even one step forward, all of heaven will align with that step. Doors will open that no one can shut. Connections will be divinely arranged to guide you to where you are meant to be. Events that seem coincidental will, in truth, be links in a sacred chain at work. What you must do is not understand everything, but remain faithful with each step I illuminate. From this moment on, every past delay is rendered void. Every psychological chain that once bound you now has no power over you. I give you the authority to step out of doubt and into the light of a new beginning. When you say yes, you are not merely agreeing with me, you are opening your heart to a whole new season being sown. And my child, this season will be unlike any before. It will be a season of fruitfulness, of restoration, of breakthrough. This is the season where you will become what I destined you to be from the beginning. So, rekindle the flame within. Stretch yourself and rise from the land of hesitation. Walk not because it is easy, but because you now see that my word is true. And as you go, each footstep will land on ground I have cleared. No valley will swallow you. No storm will strip your destiny. For I go before you, making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Isaiah 43:19. My child, when your mind is freed from old chains, the next gift I long to give you is new eyes, a vision no longer confined by flesh, but awakened to spiritual sight. For if the mind is the gateway for miracles, then spiritual vision is the path through which miracles become manifest. Not all truth is visible to the natural eye, and not everyone can perceive what is coming. even when it stands right before them. The world believes what it sees. But those who are mine, those called by my name, are invited to see by faith before the visible appears. They do not wait for the world's confirmation to act. They do not need perfect conditions to move forward. They move because they know that what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no heart has imagined, I can do far greater things for those who love me. 1 Corinthians 2-9. You've asked yourself many times, how will I know I'm going the right way when nothing seems clear? And I tell you this, it is precisely when everything is unclear, yet you continue walking, that your faith is truly at work. It is when you dare to say, I believe, without a shred of evidence, that you walk with me through mystery. And I never let those who trust in me be put to shame. Remember Abraham, your forefather. When I called him out of his homeland, I gave him no map, no detailed plan. I only said, go to the land I will show you. Genesis 12:1. And he obeyed, not because he knew the destination, but because he knew the one who called. From a man without children, I made him the father of many nations. It didn't happen in a day, but it began with one decision to believe the word, even when reality said otherwise. So too, my child, do not let what your eyes see cause your heart to doubt. Your present may be full of lack, fatigue, confusion, but that is not your future. You are not confined by what you see. If you can learn to see through the eyes of faith, it is the shift in vision that will shape the path ahead. Where others see storms, those who are mine see opportunity for Jehovah to display his power. Where others see desert, those with vision see a road forming through the barren land. What you see with your natural eyes may be rejection letters, unpaid bills, delayed dreams, closed doors. But if you stop there, you'll remain trapped in the lower layer of reality. On the other hand, if you dare to imagine something higher, a job unfolding, a door about to open, a divine intervention drawing near, then that very vision will activate miracles in your life. Faith is not merely a feeling, it is active sight. Have you heard the story of Elisha's servant? When they were surrounded by an army, the servant panicked and cried, "We are doomed." But Elisha prayed, "Lord, open his eyes." And suddenly, the servant saw a mighty heavenly host surrounding them. Before that moment, he was limited by what his eyes could see. But when spiritual vision was granted, he perceived a greater reality at work. So it is with you, my child. So much is already moving for your sake in the unseen realm. Invisible hands are clearing paths. Prayers you offered long ago have been recorded, and their fruit is now ripening. But if you look only at your current condition and conclude, nothing is changing, you will miss your part in the unfolding process. I need you to believe not just with your lips, but by living each day as though what I promised is already on its way. Visualize clearly what you hope for, a fulfilled life, a secure job, a peaceful home, a steady spirit. Then walk as if it's already yours. This is the secret of those I have lifted among many. They do not wait to see it in front of them. They carry that image in their hearts, nourish it with my word, and act accordingly. And then, the invisible becomes visible. The dream becomes life. Spiritual vision is not fantasy. It is the union of faith and revelation. It allows you to move ahead of physical reality and touch the truth of the Spirit. And when that truth flows down, it alters everything in the natural. as a lamp to your feet. My word will guide every step you take. Psalm 119 to 105. If you remain faithful to that light, you will surely arrive at the land I promised you. So do not let doubt occupy your mind any longer. Ask me to open your eyes. Learn to see as I see, to think as I think, and to speak as I speak. Each time you choose to see light in chaos, each time you choose hope over despair, you step closer to your appointed destiny. You are not walking alone. I am watching every step, and if you look closely, you'll see I've been there all along. Faith, my child, is not a vague idea to keep in your thoughts. Faith is a living force, an inward fire made visible through outward steps. If you say you believe in me but never change the way you live, the way you respond, the choices you make each day, then that faith is not yet true. Faith only gains power when it becomes movement, when it propels you forward. Even when nothing around you is ideal, you may have already sensed my voice, already begun to see the picture I am painting for your life. But if you do not leave the land of the familiar, you will forever dwell in a dream without ever tasting reality. I know it's not easy. There will always be reasons to wait, to hesitate, to say, maybe it's not time yet. But my child, faith does not wait for every wind to be favorable. It hoists its sails even under cloudy skies, because it knows that I, the one who commands both wind and wave, have spoken, go. Desert. In the history of the Spirit, the greatest steps have always been taken in the midst of uncertainty. Noah built the ark, having never seen rain. Moses raised his staff before the sea ever parted. Job worshipped me in the middle of ruin. Mary agreed to carry the Savior without knowing what the consequences would be. None of them acted because conditions were ideal. They acted because they believed in my word. And because of that, miracles unfolded. In the same way, your faith will not be proven by what you say in silence, but by what you do when no one is clapping for you. You may say, I'm waiting for a clearer sign. But my child, the sign does not come before the step. It comes after you begin walking. Every step of faith is a resounding declaration to heaven. I trust the one who spoke to me, and I never turn a deaf ear to such faith. I will respond. I will make a way. I will intervene. But that only happens when you begin. Do not be afraid of small beginnings. Do not despise the day of humble starts. Zechariah 4:10. A small act of faith can open a great door in reality. A timely declaration can shift the atmosphere in your entire home. A courageous step can break the generational curse that has hovered over your family, not because you are strong, but because you walk with the strongest one. I do not require you to understand everything. I only ask for obedience. You may think you have to be perfect before you are rewarded. But no, my child, I am not looking for the perfect. I am looking for the willing, those willing to believe, willing to act, willing to fail and learn again, willing to be corrected and lifted up. I do not require excellence. I require surrender. And when I find a heart like that, I move in extraordinary ways. Do not let delay rob you of the opportunity I have already prepared. Some doors only open in specific moments. Some encounters are divinely appointed for a certain time. If you keep hesitating, if you let fear deceive, you will miss what was meant for you in this season. But if you act in faith, you will discover that everything I promised is not just theory, it is a reality waiting to be activated through obedience. Acting in faith does not mean everything will be easy. There will be times when you feel alone, times when others doubt you, times when you question whether you're on the right path. But, my child, faithfulness is not measured by feelings. It is measured by whether you keep walking when the feelings fade. And if you stay the course, soon enough, you will see with your eyes what you once saw only by faith. I want you to act not just for yourself, but for those who will be touched through your life, your family, your friends, even people who have never met you. When you walk by faith, you are carving a path through the wilderness for others to follow. You're not just changing your life, you're laying a spiritual inheritance for the next generation. So don't just sit and wait for a miracle. Become the one who activates miracles. Write down what you believe I am calling you to do. Start with what is in your hands. Speak words of life. Sow seeds of hope. Step into the new journey I've placed in your heart. Don't wait until you feel ready. For true readiness only comes after the first step. Let me remind you of an unchanging truth. Faith without works is dead. James 2:17. If you have prayed, now is the time to rise. If you have waited, now is the time to walk. If you have heard, now is the time to act. And when you do, heaven will open. Doors that once seemed impossible will unlock on their own. Relationships that appeared dead will be revived. Resources once out of reach will begin to flow. You will no longer have to knock, because the doors will be open before you arrive. Because I have already appointed goodness for you. But for it to be released, you need more than prayer. You need to walk with the feet of faith. When faith turns into action, you don't just change circumstances, you change yourself. And when you change yourself, you change the world. My child, when a person begins walking by faith, there comes a moment when inner shifts begin to produce outer movements. That's when you start to see small but powerful signs, things no one else may notice. But your heart knows this is no coincidence. It is proof that the door of destiny is beginning to open. The stream of blessing is gently brushing the shores of your life, and you begin to feel something deeper than any temporary emotion, a confirmation from heaven. That confirmation may not always come with loud fanfare or sparkling signs. Sometimes, it's a simple letter with good news. Sometimes, a seemingly random invitation that leads to a life-altering turn. Sometimes, a stranger saying the exact words your soul needed. These signs may be subtle, but they carry the resonance of heaven. And if your spirit is attuned, you will understand. This is me speaking to you, encouraging you, showing you that you are on the right path. You may wonder, is this the beginning of the promise being fulfilled? And I say to you, yes. A seed does not sprout on the day it is sown, but when it breaks the ground, it is undeniable evidence that life is taking shape. What you see now are the first tender shoots. They signal that a new season has begun. And my child, this season will not be like the last. If you are faithful with the small, you will be entrusted with more. Luke 16:10. I am testing your heart, not to doubt you, but to confirm you are truly ready to be lifted to a new height. Let me tell you this, nothing you've been through was wasted. Every tear, every stumble, every dry season has planted something in the soil. And today, that soil is beginning to stir. You sense something different in the air around you. No one has to tell you, but your spirit knows. Something is happening. It is a change that cannot be measured by human eyes, but is deeply real in the spirit. It is when heaven begins whispering to earth, "Get ready. I am coming." Pay attention to what seems small, a call you didn't expect. An email from a place you thought had forgotten you. An unanticipated apology. An unexpected provision. A door you had given up on. When these things begin to appear, remember, I never do anything halfway. If I have begun, I will finish it. Philippians 1-6. You don't have to force the outcome. You only need to remain steadfast and keep moving forward. I will take care of the rest. And here is what I want you to hold tightly. Never underestimate small beginnings. Many are discouraged because they expect something grand to appear instantly. But my child, I don't build palaces in a single night. I build brick by brick, level by level, even in hidden corners. There are things I must fortify before I fill. If I give you too much too fast, you won't have the foundation to sustain it. But if you are faithful with the first signs, each next step will be automatically released. This is not delay, it is formation. When you start to see what looks like coincidence, do not call it luck, call it evidence. When people say, "You seem different lately," know that the light is shining through your life. When a door opens, don't just walk through, give thanks. Because every small thing you receive today is the seed of the greater thing I will give tomorrow. If you receive it with gratitude, you will unlock higher levels of grace. You will also notice something else. Your heart becomes more peaceful, even though your external circumstances haven't changed much. That is a powerful sign that you are on the right path. Peace does not come from ease. It comes from knowing you are in my will. When faith and peace combine, miracles cannot be delayed any longer. Beloved child, now is the time to stand firm. Do not waver when others do not understand your journey. Do not give up just because the outcome hasn't arrived. Like a farmer who does not dig up the seed to check it daily, you don't need to doubt every step you take. As long as water keeps dripping from the rock, know that the source is flowing, and very soon, it will become an unstoppable waterfall. Write down the signs you receive. Record the moments I intervene, because the small things today will be the evidence of tomorrow. When the great miracle comes, you will look back and say, "That day, that sign, that small stirring was when I began stepping into a new season." Those who are faithful with the small signs will be the ones who reap the great harvest. My child, once you have walked by faith and begun seeing the early signs of change, I will begin inviting you into a different rhythm, a rhythm no longer governed by anxiety, comparison, or pressure from the world, but the sacred cadence of grace. This is the stage where miracles are no longer surprising events from the outside, but a natural part of your inner flow, not because everything is easy, but because your soul has learned to move in sync with the heartbeat of heaven. As you begin to live in that rhythm, you will notice an unexplainable ease. Things that once terrified you now seem like wisps of smoke. The burdens that once weighed on your shoulders now feel strangely light. Because in my presence, nothing is overwhelming. You no longer have to push everything with your own strength. Instead, you learn to move with my flow like sails filled with wind, like eagles rising on thermal currents. Isaiah 40-31. No more striving, no more flailing. Only rest in my power. Do not mistake this ease for lack of discipline. On the contrary, it is the discipline of a mind that has been realigned, knowing when to be still, when to act, and when to wait. Resting in me is not passivity. It is the perfect blend of action and trust. You no longer act out of fear, but from guidance. Every step is no longer fueled by panic, but by inner conviction. Each decision is no longer emotion-led, but lit by wisdom from above. Remember the times when you struggled at life's crossroads, unsure which direction was my will. Then, you cried out for light, and now, that light has begun to illuminate the path ahead. You no longer need to race anyone, because this journey is personal and sacred. I do not measure your success by speed, but by faithfulness. There is no need to compare yourself to others. You were not made to repeat anyone's life. You are a unique design, meant to carry a unique expression of my glory on the earth. When you live in the rhythm of grace, time becomes your companion, not your enemy. You are no longer afraid of being too late, because you know I can restore the years the locusts have eaten. Joel 2:25. What seemed too far gone, I can make new. What was once stolen, I can return in double measure. In this rhythm, nothing is truly lost. Everything has purpose, even the waiting. It is in the waiting that I soften your heart, strengthen your faith, and prepare the place for greater things. The greatest change is not that the world around you shifts, it's that you are being transformed day by day. Your intuition sharpens. My voice becomes clearer. You see others through eyes of mercy. You begin to reject what no longer fits the new person you are becoming. That is the clearest sign of growth. And the beauty of this growth is that it doesn't wear you out. It refreshes you, makes you lighter, and fills you with inspiration. You will feel this clearly. You no longer have to chase opportunities. Opportunities will begin to find you. The doors you once knocked on endlessly with no answer will now open effortlessly, not because you changed how you knocked, but because you changed who was knocking. When you change within, the frequency of your soul shifts, and the universe begins to resonate with that renewal. People, events, and resources will begin to flow toward you like rivers to the sea. This is the season where my presence is no longer something you feel only in moments of prayer. It becomes the very atmosphere you live in each day. Each morning when you wake up, you know deep within that you are not alone. Whenever challenges arise, you no longer panic but ask, Lord, what are you trying to teach me through this? It is this constant companionship that makes your journey no longer burdensome. You begin to love the process itself, not just the outcome, for you've come to realize every day you live in the rhythm of grace is a day you are being wondrously transformed. My beloved, this is the land of true prosperity, not a prosperity measured merely by bank balances or material possessions, but an abundance that permeates every part of your being, your spirit, your mind, your emotions, and your relationships. This is the kind of abundance that no one can take away from you. When you live in that rhythm, great things no longer overwhelm you, and small things no longer break you. You know who your guide is, and you walk with unceasing gratitude. Do not be surprised if others do not understand the change within you. Do not wait for their validation of what I have already spoken. No one else can fully see the vision I have placed uniquely in your soul. They will only begin to see it when the fruits become visible. But you, my chosen one, do not wait for harvest to give thanks. Be grateful now. Live in my rhythm daily. For that is how you enlarge the vessel that will carry the miracles of your future. My child, when someone lives in true prosperity, that prosperity does not end with them. It always overflows. It not only fills their own cup, but spills out and brings refreshment wherever they go. That is the mark of those who not only live by miracles, but live as miracles. They no longer look upward only to ask, but begin to look outward to give. They no longer pray just to be helped, but to become help. And if you have come this far, I say to you, now is the time I establish you as a source of divine influence in this world. Not because you are perfect, not because you are better than others, but because you have learned to receive and walk in my guidance. You have walked through the darkest days and still carried the light. You have known disappointment, yet not abandoned hope. You have faced rejection, yet not rejected yourself. These lessons, soaked in tears, in waiting, in endurance, I have now become the firm foundation upon which I am raising you, as a pillar, one not easily shaken, one with a weighty voice, one who carries the atmosphere of heaven in every word, every glance, every act. Now is when you begin to realize that what you have received is not only for you. Blessing is not a destination, it is a current. When I pour out, it is not so you may store it in your barns, but so you may become a conduit of blessing. You are not a container, you are a channel. You are chosen to give, to influence, to uplift. The things you once longed for yourself, you now have the authority to bring to others. This influence may not begin from a pulpit or in front of crowds. It begins in the quiet faithfulness of daily moments, a timely word of encouragement, a forgiveness that expects nothing in return, a kind gesture when others are depleted of compassion, whether it's a brief conversation in a coffee shop or patient listening to a family member. Every act carries heaven's energy when done from a grace-filled heart. I do not call you to be famous. I call you to be impactful. Fame comes and goes, but true influence leaves an eternal imprint on the soul of another. When you live in my will, people will come to you not because of who you are, but because they sense something different, peace in your gaze, wisdom in your words, steadiness in your steps. You won't need to say much about yourself. Your presence will speak. You will become a refuge others seek when they need counsel, strength, or simply a place of rest in a chaotic world. And so I remind you, do not let humility shrink you. Humility does not mean devaluing yourself. True humility is recognizing that every good thing in you comes from me, and thus, you are willing to serve without pride. When I raise you to be the head and not the tail, Deuteronomy 28:13, it is not to dominate others, but to lead them, to become a trailblazer, a path opener, a living proof that walking with heaven is not a fantasy, but a reality one can experience daily. You will come to know this. When you walk in your calling, you do not need to force proof. Your life will bear witness on its own. You won't need to promote yourself. Those touched by your presence will speak of you. You won't need to chase recognition. It will come as you remain faithful in obscurity. When light shines through your life, it doesn't just illuminate your own path, it brings clarity to those still walking in darkness. And that is when you truly become a light to the world. There will be moments when you feel pressure. There will be times when you wish to retreat into hiding once more. But my child, You cannot hide the light forever. You were lit not to be covered, but to shine. Do not let fear cause you to shrink back from the place I've assigned to you. You stand not by your own strength, but by my presence in you, and as long as you remain connected to your source, you will never run dry. Remember, true influence is not birthed from noise, but from integrity, not from outward appearance, but from inner substance, not from striving, but from giving. Those with real influence do not need to lift themselves. Heaven lifts them. And I, the one who raised David from shepherd to king, I am doing the same in your life, not to glorify you, but so that through you, others may come to know my kindness and faithfulness. My child, you are no longer merely one who seeks miracles. You are one who carries miracles. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. When you speak encouragement, life is imparted. When you pray, chains are broken. You are a living witness to my faithfulness. You are a seed sown into this world to bring forth harvests for others. And if you continue in truth, there is no limit to how far your life may reach. When a soul has endured enough trials, has experienced the depths of grace, and has lived long enough in the sacred rhythm, there comes a point where they no longer live just to receive, to give, or even to influence. They are ushered into a deeper dimension, the realm of inheritance. Not inheritance from men, but from the one who fashioned the universe. And today, I come to tell you, you have come far enough that I now begin to place into your hands a portion of divine legacy, a dominion that none can take from you. I have not called you to remain a servant forever. I call you to be a child. And if a child, then an heir, Romans 8:17. You are not a bystander in the grand story I am writing. You are the central figure in your chapter. And I, myself, am the faithful author. What you are now beginning to receive is not just a temporary provision, it is an unshakable principle. You are receiving not just daily bread, but the right to sit and reign with me over the territories I've appointed. Yet, my child, to step into inheritance, your soul must discern between what is eternal and what is fleeting. People often chase what lasts only a few years, months, or even hours spotlights. Fame, wealth, fleeting feelings. But those I call to inherit cannot live by emotions. They live by principle. They are not swayed by public opinion. They stand like mountains, because their hearts are anchored not in shifting sands, but in my unchanging promises. You have been tested to learn the true worth of what you hold. There were things you once cherished, but over time, you've seen they were mere surface. There were people who once journeyed with you, but as you ascended to a new level, they no longer remained. That hurt you, but I allowed it not for your loss, but for your purification. For what I am about to place in your hands cannot be mixed with what is not yours. True inheritance is entrusted only to those with upright hearts and vision that extends beyond the self. Kingship is not about possession. It is about responsibility. The heir does not live for themselves anymore. But as a steward, you are not blessed to gratify your ego, but to preserve and nurture what is greater than you. When I establish you in the realm of inheritance, every decision you make will impact more than just you. It will touch your family, your community, even generations yet unborn. So I require a heart deep enough, a mind bright enough, and a soul strong enough not to be swayed by the temptations around you. Do not be deceived. Those called to inherit will still face trials. In fact, they require even more refining. The higher the calling, the stronger the winds. But for this very reason, they do not live by their own might, but by deep connection with the one who granted the inheritance. Like Joseph, who after years of slavery, false accusation, and neglect, was finally elevated to rule over Egypt, yet used that power not for vengeance, but for salvation. That is the mark of one truly established by heaven, not using position to prove themselves, but to fulfill a mission. And your mission, chosen soul, is being revealed step by step, not through thunderous signs, but through a quiet awareness that your life is no longer what it once was. You no longer live just for yourself. You begin to think broader, deeper, longer. You begin to build what lasts, not what fades. You begin to choose what is right over what is easy. You are willing to reject quick opportunities to preserve a long-term vision. That is the sign you are ready to receive the crown I have prepared. You do not need to proclaim yourself as an heir. The way you live, the way you respond, the way you endure hardship that will testify on your behalf. One truly established does not need to fight for their place, for they know where their power comes from. They do not need to boast, because true inheritance requires no advertisement. The heir does not walk in haste. They walk steadily, step by step, with the assurance that every step is remembered by heaven. And my child, I rejoice to see you have come to this threshold. Not everyone makes it this far. Many stop midway, seduced by false lights. But you have endured, and so I open for you a new era where you no longer live as a stranger in the Father's house, but as an official heir, and your part is to live worthy of that trust. Guard what I have placed in your hands. Multiply what I've entrusted to you. Keep your heart pure, but live with the vision of a ruler. My child, anyone may receive an inheritance in a moment, but only those with a steadfast inner life can carry that inheritance for a lifetime. A blessing that comes too early into the hands of a soul unprepared becomes a burden. A crown placed on a head that has not learned to bow will soon become too heavy to bear. That is why, before I unveil the full extent of your kingship, I take you through a process of refining your character, not to punish you, but to protect you from yourself. Character is not built under spotlights, but in shadows. It is not formed through applause, but through unseen moments of falling and rising. It is not revealed in success, but in misunderstanding, in rejection, in the times you could retaliate, but choose silence instead. Those unseen moments are where I watch most closely, for I do not place lasting blessings in the hands of those who only know how to receive, but in the hands of those who have learned how to take responsibility. Someone asked, "Why must I still wait, even though I have been faithful?" My child, sometimes the delay is not due to heaven's slowness, but to love. I see what you do not yet see. I know the hidden depths within you that still need refining. If I were to give you too soon, the very good thing could undo you. But if you allow me to complete my work, then when I entrust you, you will stand firm in the storm without being uprooted. Character is not formed in a moment, but through the habits you build over a lifetime. It is seen when you choose truth, when lying would be easier, when you turn down opportunities that would lead you off the path of truth, when you keep going, even when no one cheers, when your heart remains tender though it's been hurt before. These, my child, are the foundations of the throne I am establishing, not a crown on your head, but a kingship within your soul. I have seen many begin with brilliance, only to fall because they could not last, not for lack of gifting, but for lack of depth. Gifting can take you to high places, but only character can keep you there. And if you truly desire to be the ruler I have designed you to be, you cannot skip the refining process. Each time I correct you, do not resist. Let me peel away layers of pride, fragments of pain, and wounds still unhealed. For these very things, if left untouched, I will become the cracks that bring down the glorious house I am building within you. Do not despise the small lessons. Do not think righteousness is only necessary when standing before a crowd. My child, true strength is not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. The strong are not those who preach well or pray aloud, but those who show patience, who forgive, who remain calm in anger. I am not seeking the persuasive, I seek the trustworthy, and trustworthiness is forged through the small decisions made daily. Let me remind you, when your character is mature, you will no longer be swayed by praise or criticism. You won't chase human approval, because you know you are already approved by heaven. You won't need anyone to agree with you for you to feel valuable. You will live from that deep place, where your soul knows, I am a child of the Most High, and I am established not by man, but by my Father. End of quote. And in that very moment, you will be entrusted with greater responsibilities, for I do not place sacred treasures into the hands of the unstable. I do not entrust wounded souls to those easily wounded. I do not grant wide influence to those who have not learned to carry weight in silence. But when you prove faithful, I myself will open the door that no man can shut. And the door is not the reward. A matured character is the true reward. My child, do not be in a hurry to find shortcuts. That which comes quickly is often shallow. A tree that grows fast without roots will fall with the wind, but one that grows slowly and deep will one day shelter many. This is the image I desire in you, a life built solidly, unshaken by trials, unchanged by applause or criticism, a life others can lean on, a person I can trust with the most precious things. Do not think what you do today is insignificant. If you are living faithfully, learning, and letting me correct you, then you are building a fortress that cannot be shaken. And one day, when you stand in great places of influence, people will look at you and say, nothing can move this one. But only you and I will know it was in the silent years, in the unseen prayers, in the moments you obeyed when it was easier to rebel. That is where true kingship was forged. My child, when I see one who has matured in faith, who has passed the tests, who has built a character as solid as stone, I do not merely bless that person, I entrust them. There is a great difference between being blessed and being entrusted. Blessings may be poured on anyone, but stewardship is reserved for those proven worthy. And today, I declare, you have entered that season, a time when I no longer merely rain down from heaven, but place into your hands the keys to govern matters of my kingdom. You will notice that this does not come with applause, nor grand announcements. It comes quietly, But surely, you will begin to see doors opening, not merely for your sake, but because you carry sacred responsibility. When you speak, your words will carry weight. When you decide, your choices will ripple far. When you enter a space, the atmosphere will shift. For now, you no longer live for yourself. You represent an unshakable kingdom. The governance I entrust to you is not like the world's authority. The world craves power to control, to dominate, to impose. But you, my child, are called to govern with a spirit of service. You are not the owner of what I give, but the steward, the nurturer, the multiplier, the wealth you hold, the talents you carry, the relationships you build. They do not belong to you forever. They are part of a grander design, and when used rightly, they will bear eternal fruit beyond measure. Remember the parable of the talents, Matthew 25 to 14:30. The lazy one, gripped by fear, buried his silver and lost even what he had. But the one who dared to invest, to multiply, to take responsibility, he was given even more. That principle still stands today. When I see you using your influence to lift others, your resources to open doors for the vulnerable, your time to train souls, I will expand your territory. Because you have proven that you do not hoard blessings, you multiply them for my glory. True stewardship demands continual alertness. There is no room for carelessness. A rash decision can misdirect a flow of blessing. A harsh word can wound a soul. A small compromise can lead to large consequences. That is why you need more than zeal. You need wisdom. Not just faith, but self-control. Not just mercy, but discernment between right and wrong. I will walk with you step by step, but you must remain teachable, adaptable, and constantly refined. A steward does not only look at the now, but far into the future. They do not decide by fleeting emotion, but by long-range vision. I will begin planting within you ideas that outlive your lifetime, ideas that shape the next generation. Your thinking will shift from, what do I need to keep, to, what can I sow, from, how can I have enough, to, how can I be entrusted with more. When that mindset becomes your norm, you will see provision never runs dry, for you have stepped into the divine principle of spiritual flow. Now is the time for you to define your boundaries and principles. A keeper of the treasury cannot open the door to just anyone. A manager must distinguish what belongs to God and what belongs to the world. There will be relationships that test your heart, opportunities that appear as light, but he they cost. I will not entrust my treasures to you unless you learn the art of refusal. Not everything that shines is worth accepting. Not every invitation deserves your seat. A true steward must dare to say no to guard their focus. Yet, a steward is not alone. I never assign responsibility without granting power. Just as I gave Moses a staff to lead my people, so I will give you your own staff, a symbol of divine authority. When you pray, results will be visible. When you intervene, things will shift. When you walk forward, darkness must retreat. For in that moment, you are no longer speaking for yourself, but walking in the authority of the one who sent you. Do not fear responsibility. Do not shrink back at the weight. If I entrust it to you, I will sustain you. And the wonder is this: the more faithfully you govern, the more free you will become. You won't feel exhausted from doing too much, but invigorated from living in your place. True joy does not come from being served, but from knowing your life has purpose, impact, and divine signature. My child, you were never chosen to live a normal life. I called you out from the crowd not to elevate you, but to prepare you for great works. What I entrust to you will not only affect the present, but will shape the spiritual history of many. And if you remain steadfast, humble, and discerning, you will become one I can trust with heaven's great strategies for this generation. My child, there will come a time when even the promised land you once rejoiced to step into can become a cage if you refuse to keep moving forward. I did not lead you into a place of safety so you could build a home and stay there forever. I brought you there to train you, to nourish you, and then to call you forward again. For my kingdom is ever expanding. And today, I say this to you. It is time to break the limits. It is time to step out of the familiar, to reach for things you once believed were beyond your strength to face. You may be surprised, perhaps even hesitant, for you have only just settled. Things have only just begun to fall into place. But it is in that very moment that I stir you, because the comfort zone is where ease is born, but also where faith begins to die. I will never allow you to stop growing. If you stop, you begin to fall. There is no neutral ground in the spiritual life, only advancement or retreat. And I love you far too much to let you retreat, even by a single step. Remember the times I called you out of darkness. Then, you felt helpless, but you obeyed. And through that obedience, you stepped into the light. Now, I am calling you again from a lesser light to a greater one, from a personal vision to a communal mission, from the old framework where you were in control, to a new land where you must walk each step by faith. This is not a withdrawal, it is an expansion. Breaking limits doesn't mean doing more, it means doing differently. It demands that you rethink how you view life, how you measure time, how you define success, and where you place your trust. What worked yesterday may not be enough for tomorrow. You need fresh revelation, not because truth has changed, but because your role has. You are no longer merely a witness to heaven's plan. You are a vessel to carry it out. There will be barriers to face, not just from without, but from within. The fear of failure, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of loneliness. But remember this, the greatest fear is not failure, but living beneath your true potential. If you always choose safety, you'll never know how far you were meant to soar. And when I am with you, you do not need to fear. Failure for failure in obedience is more precious than success in disobedience. I will begin to plant in your mind ideas not born of man, dreams that stir you in the night, burdens that won't let your heart rest, the pain of others that your soul will feel as your own. These are not coincidences. They are signals, a call to rise, to step out boldly beyond the borders you've known. You may say, "But I am not capable," and I will reply, "I do not seek the capable, I seek the willing." Sufficiency will come in the walking. When you obey, you will see strange and wonderful things, doors opening that you never knocked on, help arriving when hope seemed gone, provision rushing in just as you neared exhaustion. These are not random miracles. They are the rewards of daring to believe. For I never call someone out of safety without provision already waiting in the new place. And as you begin to break through your own limits, you will break the limits of those around you. They will look at you and see something different, a holy boldness, an uncommon peace, a power beyond natural explanation. They may not understand at first, but they will be drawn. They will come. They will ask, "What gave you the courage to live like this?" And in that moment, your life will be a living answer to, "My power." I did not call you to play small. I created you to impact history. Every bold decision you make today lays the foundation for change 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And it is not because you are great, but because I am moving through you. Each step you take may blaze a path for a generation behind you. Do not underestimate the power of one who dares to obey heaven. One Moses obeyed and led a nation out of Egypt. One Esther risked all and saved her people. And you, if you are courageous, may become the beginning of a new chapter in my story. My child, I know what I have called you to do is not easy, but I also know you were not made for easy. You were born to be strong, to be bold, to challenge the impossible. The blood in you is the blood of an overcomer. The breath in you is the breath of the Almighty. And your soul has been awakened not to lie dormant, but to rise up. Break every chain, cross every boundary, and step into the things heaven has prepared for you alone. My child, breaking limits is only the beginning. What I truly seek in you is not just courage to step out, but faithfulness to build. The new land you now step into is not just to be admired. It is a place I call you to cultivate. I did not bring you here to merely pass through. I brought you to pioneer, to establish, to lay a foundation upon which future generations will walk farther than you did. Every new land begins in wilderness. You will not see homes, gardens, or fortresses at first. You will see emptiness, untouched spaces, dreams no one has dared to chase, ideas not yet accepted. But that is precisely your opportunity to become the one who lays the first stone, the forerunner, the trailblazer. And that always requires a vision beyond the present, a soul that can see a city in the desert, a harvest in a single seed. I will not let you walk alone in this new land. I am your companion, but I will not do it for you. I will do it with you. Just as I spoke to Joshua when Israel was about to enter the promised land, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for I am with you wherever you go. Joshua 1-9. I speak that to you today. Yet my presence does not exempt you from responsibility. Instead, it empowers you to act, to build, and to endure even before results are visible. My child, there are 3 things I want you to hold tightly as you build on new ground: wisdom, perseverance, and reverence. Wisdom helps you discern solid rock from sinking sand. You cannot build on emotion. You cannot build on popularity. You cannot build on need. You must build on my word, which never changes. Every plan you make, every step you take, place it before me. Do not rush, but also do not fear to begin with little. I delight in great works that begin from faithful hearts. Perseverance will hold you when the first winds blow. Do not be surprised if what you build is not immediately recognized. Do not be disheartened if you sow and do not yet see harvest. In new ground, seeds always take longer to root. But if you continue watering with prayer, nurturing with endurance, and protecting with faith, the harvest will surely come. Not in man's time, but in heaven's season. Reverence keeps you in the right place, knowing that though you are the builder, Every success comes from me. You may plant, you may water, but I am the one who makes it grow. 1 Corinthians 3-6. Do not let the fruit make you forget your companion. When results come, give thanks. When others walk into what you have pioneered, rejoice, not resent. The pioneer does not claim glory. The pioneer opens the way, and you, my beloved child, are becoming just that in my hand. In this new land, you must also build connection. No one builds a fortress alone. I will begin to bring people into your life, those of like mind, shared vision, and kindred spirit. They won't all look the same, but they will be in harmony. They are not coming to compete, but to uphold one another. And it is this unity that will be the adhesive holding together the work you are building. Learn to discern who is meant to stay and who must be released. Not everyone who enters your life is destined to remain, but those I send, you will recognize, for their presence will bring peace, increase, and clarity to your vision. You must also learn to establish principles. A new land cannot be built on sentiment. It requires structure, order, and a clear path. What you permit lightly today may become a burden tomorrow. Set boundaries early. Teach others to step into your sphere of influence with respect, humility, and commitment. Do not sacrifice purity for the sake of pleasing others. Do not compromise truth in exchange for being liked. A new land will fall into desolation without discipline and holy reverence. And remember this, the way you build today determines what will stand tomorrow. A beautiful structure may attract people, but only a solid one will endure through time. Let me be the chief architect of your life. Let me illuminate each step you take. When you build with me, nothing is in vain. And what you initiate today, no matter how small, can become a refuge for many souls seeking purpose. My child, the new land is not your final destination. It is the beginning of a deeper mission. But you can only continue forward if you commit to building it well. No rushing, no quitting, no weariness over what human eyes have yet to perceive. You are building for heaven, not for man, and what is built for heaven shall never be shaken. My child, every faithful seed will sprout. Every tear of obedience will be dried by the sound of rejoicing. I will never allow your perseverance to be in vain. And today, I declare, the harvest is near. Not because you forced it, not because you manipulated your surroundings, but because the appointed time has come set by me since before the foundations of the world. Everything you have built in this new land with faith, with silent labor, with sleepless nights unnoticed by others, is now beginning to bear fruit. Perhaps you don't realize it. The harvest often arrives quietly. It doesn't come with trumpets or fanfare. It arrives through unexpected open doors, through divine appointments, through surprising confirmations from strangers, through a shift in the atmosphere within you where suddenly you begin to sense, this is no longer the season of sowing. This is the season of reaping. That change does not begin externally. It starts from within. You no longer feel as weary as before. The things that once made you hesitate now hold no power. What once was burdensome has become joyful. The small tasks that used to require great effort now come naturally. These are signs that you've entered the divine rhythm of harvest. You are no longer striving, yet you are not slothful either. You simply walk, and I cause blessing to follow each of your steps. However, remember this principle. The harvest belongs to heaven, not to man. You do not get to decide when the blessing arrives, but you do choose whether you are ready to receive it. Many have sown well, but when the harvest comes, they are distracted by lesser things. They give up just moments before the breakthrough. They trade faith for impatience. But I say to you today, do not leave the field when the sky begins to shift. Do not let go when the winds of harvest begin to blow. There is a kind of success that comes from wisdom, calculation, and skill. But there is another kind that only arrives when I say, now is the time. And this kind of success is eternal. It cannot be stolen by the world. It is untouched by time. It does not corrupt the soul of the one who receives it. This is the kind of harvest I have prepared for you, not rushed, not shallow, not fleeting, but one with foundation, purpose, and meaning. And my child, when you reap, do not keep it all to yourself. Do not forget the reason I gave you success. Do not allow the blessing to become your end goal. I give you the harvest so that you may pour it out, so that you may pave the way for others, so that you may use your influence to create safe spaces for lost souls. Like Job, who after remaining faithful through the trial, it was restored double, but he did not hoard it for himself. He interceded for his friends. He became a vessel of hope for many others. The harvest will also require you to be more watchful than ever. For where there is fruit, there will be those who seek to destroy. Where there is blessing, there will be envy. Where there is light, darkness will try to creep in. But if you remain humble, if you keep your eyes lifted, if you keep your ears attuned to my voice, then nothing can touch your harvest. For what I have blessed, no one can curse. What I have opened, no one can shut. What I have sown will surely bloom. Prepare yourself not through busyness, but through inner readiness. Clear your heart. Remove unnecessary worries. Cut ties that no longer bring life. Free yourself from the expectations of men. Don't strive to please the crowd. Please heaven. When you place me above all else, everything else will naturally fall into its right place. And you will see blessing will flow, not because you deserved it, but because I am faithful, and my favor is like an ever-flowing stream. Also remember this, the harvest is not an endpoint. It is a milestone, a moment when you look back and see that my hand was always at work, even when you saw nothing. A moment when you realize that every tear you sowed in secret was gathered by me. A moment when you understand that I was never late, I was right on time. And that time, my beloved, is drawing near. So be ready with the heart of one who knows they are unworthy, yet deeply loved. Receive the harvest, not with pride, but with deep gratitude. Let every success become a living testimony of my power and kindness. And remember, if you guard your heart well in the time of harvest, I will increase you again, not just for one season, but for many, not just in one area, but in many dimensions of life. For those faithful with little will be entrusted with more. My child, when a life has passed through the fire, has built upon truth, and has reaped in my timing, that life leaves more than fruit. It leaves a legacy. And this is what I am leading you into today, not to admire what you have, but to give it away, not to live long, but to live meaningfully, not to be known, but to sow values that never fade. Legacy is not measured by possessions. It is not measured by how many people know your name. It is not measured by achievements. A spiritual legacy is measured by the impact your soul leaves behind. It is when your words still heal after you've gone, when your silence still teaches through the life you lived, when people remember you, not because you were great, but because they encountered me through you. I did not form you to live only for the now. I formed you to initiate a flow. That flow does not end with you. It begins with you, but must continue in others. That's why I want you to live with longer vision, with a wider heart, with the mind of one who prepares for the next generation. What you're learning now, pass it on. What I've revealed to you, share it. What cost you your youth? Don't let it die with you. Sow it into others so they won't have to repeat the same wounds you endured. My child, legacy doesn't begin with a sermon. It begins with a life. People won't learn from what you say as much as from how you live. Consistency, compassion, humility, unwavering faith, persistent endurance. These are the living lessons that those around you will see. Whether you realize it or not, you are engraving something upon the hearts of the next generation. So be careful what you sow. A sorrowful life plants helplessness in others. A bitter life plants suspicion. But a life that has been healed, transformed, and led by the Spirit plants hope, encouragement, and a model to follow. You do not need to be famous to have influence. You only need to be authentic. Someone who dares to live, dares to love, dares to forgive, dares to begin again, and dares to keep their heart pure before me. You will realize that the closer you come to the pinnacle of your journey, the less you think of yourself, and the more you think of others. The things that once troubled you will no longer weigh on your heart. Personal pain will be replaced by the burden for unsaved souls. You will find yourself caring for children who have no one to guide them, young people with no one to lift them up, parents who walk alone, and leaders who silently lack someone to lean on. And this is not by accident. It is a calling to become a spiritual father, a calling to become a spiritual mother, not because of age, but because of spiritual depth. People will begin to seek you out, not because you promote yourself, but because they sense something in you that the world cannot provide. Safety, wisdom without judgment, strength without harshness, integrity without boastfulness, gentleness without deceit. These are the qualities I am forming in you, so that at the appointed time, I may use you as a vessel to pour life into barren ground. To pass on a legacy is also to transfer authority without losing influence. It is knowing that when you take a step back, others can step forward. It is understanding that you don't need to hold everything in your hands to guarantee results, but trusting that what you have sown will bear fruit in its season. It is teaching others not to replicate you, but to become their true selves, crafted in the image of the one who created them. My child, do not fear being forgotten. Those who carry a spiritual legacy do not need the applause of man. They are remembered in heaven. They are honored in the eternal kingdom. They are the quiet ones. But heaven cannot forget them. And one day, when you look back, you will see your greatest reward was not the success you achieved, but the souls transformed through your life, that is, eternal glory. My child, when a life has walked through fire, laid foundations on truth, and reaped according to heaven's timing, such a life leaves behind more than fruit. It leaves behind a legacy, and that is what I am leading you into today. Not so you can admire what you have, but so you can pass it on. Not so you might live long, but so you may live meaningfully. Not so you may become famous, but so you may plant values that will never fade with time. Legacy is not measured by wealth. It is not measured by how many people know your name. It is not measured by accolades. A spiritual legacy is measured by the impact your soul leaves behind. It is when your words still heal after you are gone, when your silence still teaches through your past actions, when people remember you not because you were great, but because they encountered God through your life. I did not create you merely to live for the present. I created you to establish a stream. That stream does not end with you. It begins with you, but must continue through others. Therefore, I want you to live with a broader vision, a larger heart, and the mind of one preparing the next generation. What you are learning, pass it on. What has been revealed to you, share it. What cost you, your youth, do not let it die with you. Sow it into others, so they will not have to repeat the same wounds you endured. My child, imparting legacy does not begin with a sermon. It begins with a life. People learn less from what you say than how you live. Consistency, compassion, humility, unwavering faith, relentless perseverance. These are the living lessons the people around you will see. Whether you are aware or not, you are engraving something into the hearts of the next generation. So, be careful what you are sowing, because a sorrowful life sows helplessness into others. A bitter life sows doubt. But a life healed, transformed, and led by the Holy Spirit sows hope, encouragement, and an example to follow. You do not need to be famous to have influence. You only need to be genuine, someone who dares to live, to love, to forgive, to begin again, and to keep a pure heart before me. You will realize again that the closer you come to the peak of the journey, the less you think of yourself, and the more you think of others. The things that once troubled your heart will no longer burden you. Personal grief will be replaced with the weight of souls yet to be saved. You will begin to care for the forgotten children, the unsupported youth, the lonely parents, the leaders with no one to silently stand beside them. And again, this is not coincidence. It is a calling to become a spiritual father, a calling to become a spiritual mother, not because of years lived, but because of spiritual depth. People will not be drawn to you because of self-promotion, but because they sense in you something this world cannot offer: safety, wisdom that does not judge, strength that does not oppress, righteousness that does not boast, sweetness that does not deceive. These qualities I am forming within you, and in the right moment, I will use you to pour life into thirsty lands. To pass on a legacy also means to pass on authority, but not lose influence. It is when you realize that by stepping back, someone else can rise. It is when you understand that you do not have to control everything to ensure outcomes, but trust that what you have sown will yield results in its season. It is when you teach others not to become you, but to become who they were meant to be, created in the image of their Maker. Dear child, do not be afraid of being forgotten. Those who carry sacred legacies do not need earthly honor. They are remembered in heaven. They are praised in the eternal kingdom. They are the hidden ones, yet heaven cannot forget. And one day, when you look back, you will know your greatest reward was not your success, but the souls transformed through you That is your eternal glory. My child, every story has a beginning and an ending. But for those who belong to me, the end is never the final word. It is simply the door into eternity. And today, I want you to know a profound truth. This earthly journey is only the opening chapter of a divine story written by the hand of heaven. When your path is complete, your mission fulfilled, your legacy passed on, what awaits you is not oblivion, but glory. I have not called you to fade into obscurity. I have called you to be remembered in heaven. Your name is not just recorded in the records of men. It is written in the book of life, inked with the blood of the Savior. Every tear you've cried, every whispered prayer, every silent act of love, for the least of these I have seen and remembered. Nothing lived in me is wasted. Every faithful choice will be turned into eternal reward. You will not leave this world as a failure, in isolation, or in obscurity. You will depart as one who has overcome, who has finished the race. As Paul once declared, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness. 2 Timothy 4:7-8. That crown, beloved child, is laid up for you too. Not because you never stumbled, but because you never gave up. There will come a day when striving will cease. Fighting will no longer be needed. There will be no more explanations to give. No more endurance required. You will rest, but it will not be the rest of weariness. It will be the holy rest, the reward of one who lived according to the purpose of the Creator. And there, my child, there will be no more tears, no more pain, no more inner battles, no more misunderstanding or loneliness, only light, joy, and the endless presence of the one who has loved you from the very beginning. In that moment, you will look back upon your life, not with regret, but with satisfaction. You will understand why I didn't answer every prayer the way you wanted, why some doors closed, why some people walked away, why certain seasons seemed to lack meaning. Everything will become as clear as the midday sun, and you will say, Lord, your ways are truly perfect. And with my child, I give you revelation not just for knowledge, but to transform your life, to call you out of comfort zones, to build upon new ground, to reap in the right season, to pass on legacy, and finally, to enter into glory welcomed by the voice that says, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your master. Matthew 25-23. I want you to live as one who knows the ending is secure. When you know you will finish in glory, you do not need to grasp for fleeting glory here. When you know your Creator awaits you at the finish line, you no longer live to please the crowd. When you know angels will greet you at heaven's gates, you need not fear rejection on earth. This certainty will give you freedom with every step. No fear, no rush, no retreat, no pretense. Just live true, live full, live in the light. My child, look up. The journey does not end in darkness. It ends in the radiant light of eternal life. And every sacrifice you have made I will repay 100-fold. Not only in heaven, but even while you still breathe on this earth. I am the faithful one. I am the one who is never in debt to anyone. And I have chosen you, so that through you, a whole generation will know the Lord has done this. Again, thank you for receiving today's message. Click subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can continue receiving living words together, building unshakable faith and walking in the boundless love of God. Amen.